Hello, hello, hello. This is MUSAU MattmeachamJR signing in Kigali, Rwanda. This is my second broadcast attempt since I've relocated to Africa. And I'm a little speechless. There are many things that were within me. There are many things that are talking within me, but they're only a limited amount of things that I can say because I only have one mouth. This is the summer. This is a summary and a beginning. This broadcast, or let's say, it's a summary and an introduction. This particular broadcast summarizes my experience in my homeland, America, USA. It was only a few days ago that I was in Boston, Massachusetts, New England. It was cold. And the day that I boarded the plane at Logan International Airport, it was getting ready to snow. And from what I hear in the news is that there is a snowstorm in the northeastern part of the U.S. at this very moment. But that is life. Just only a few hours ago, just a few hours, maybe a little bit over 24 hours, I was in U.S. And now I'm in the lovely, beautiful country of Rwanda in East Central Africa. My experience in America was quite interesting. I returned to America a year ago, about a year ago, and I wanted to see where and how my homeland stood. I walked the streets of Boston. I observed. I would broadcast from Boston to Rhode Island. I would take a train daily from Boston's South Station and ride to Providence train station in Providence, Rhode Island. In between those two cities, I would figure out ways to do a YouTube broadcast. But now I am no longer in America. Now I am in Africa, the home of my ancient ancestors. And I must confess that as I sit here and think about being in America and now being in Africa, I thank Almighty God that He allowed me to sit here in another part of the world. As I indicated when I began to speak, I said this was like a summary and an introduction. It is a summary in that I am would like to just summarize the experience and my reactions to my being back home in America. And then I would like to introduce other issues that would deal with my experiences in the ancient homeland of my ancestors. Africa is beautiful. Greenery, the people, beautiful. Humility, the environment is magnificent. And again, I thank Almighty God that He allowed me to make my return to the home of my ancient ancestors. And while I'm here, I would do many, many, many discussions, many, many oratories, similar to the same oratories that I did in the United States of America. In the two, I would travel from Boston, Massachusetts to Providence, Rhode Island, giving my broadcast, picking up things on the way and dropping things on the way. Here in Africa, I would do this similar thing. I would travel from one country to the other, back and forth, giving my broadcast. In America, my broadcasts were motivated by my motivations. And as I said, when I was broadcasting in Boston, Massachusetts, I said that when I'm motivated, I do my best broadcast. So that would be the same principle that I operate on here in Africa. I will I will give my broadcast based on my motivations. And I must confess to you that I am so relaxed. I can't actually describe my feelings now because it's like I'm relaxed and excited at the same time. I'm overjoyed that Almighty God allowed me to return to the beautiful continent of Africa. And from this point on, my broadcast will be on the continent of Africa. I was laying in my bed, and I said, I want to do a broadcast. So I came and I said, let me put on a little tie because I want to change my image. In US, I was a man on the street. I was on the street. I was with the people. But it's quite interesting that though I be a man on the street in my homeland, and when I return to the home of my ancient ancestors, I'm not a man on the street. I'm a prince. I find that quite interesting. Well, you have prophets of God, you have angels of God. And I think if you had been following me when I did my broadcast in America, in one of my broadcasts, I indicated to my viewing audience that I'm not a prophet, I'm not a preacher. I'm an angel of God. I write books. I write books. I've written many books. You name it, I wrote about it. And so maybe I am, or maybe I'm not an angel of God, but I am a writer. And that had always been my ambition as a young man. And so here I am. I've traveled and lived all over U.S. and I have traveled and lived in many places in Africa, in many countries. And I must confess that when I compare the living philosophies and the living conditions of my colleagues in Africa and my colleagues in America. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. And I must also confess that my prejudices all favor the philosophies, the concepts, the environments, the lifestyles of Africa. And I'm so glad that I'm back home. So in the future, I will give more broadcasts. I'll talk about issues of the world. I'll talk about issues that I write about. I will talk about issues that I think about. And I also will talk about my experiences in the cradle of civilization. Now I am where mankind began. You know, basically, I consider myself a student. I'm always studying. And I think I'll continue to be a student because I find satisfaction in learning about what life is all about. So I found out since I've gotten into the YouTube business that most people don't like. I just a whole lot of boring talk. So what I try to do with my YouTube station is to sort of add excitement in my discussions. I have a question. I'm sitting here in my bedroom at the hotel. I'm sitting in my bedroom and I'm looking at things behind me. I wonder, okay, if you're watching me, uh, there's an item here and there's an item here. I'm going to cover those items now that I pointed them to you. If you can figure out what those items are, I would like to talk to you. This is MUSAU MattmeachamJR. I got to cover that. This is MUSAU MattmeachamJR signing out in Kigali, Rwanda, East Central